Okay. I guess I'm just gonna do a game review. This is a game I think I won. Yes, I did win. You can tell up here it was sort of like, as it says, a wild game. I was pretty sure I was winning. I remember being around here thinking, like I sort of recognized that I had won, but we'll go over from the beginning. Or let's just start from the sort of general, or the way I try and review my games, win or lose. Um, the first thing I look at is accuracy. Um, and then I like to click if either one of us got a brilliant move. I like to click it and then see what the explanation is. Sometimes the explanations are good, sometimes they're not. Like this one honestly didn't make sense to me. So like I show moves, it's like I don't really know. Like I don't know. Like maybe they take here. I'm not good enough, right? But I try and like if there is a brilliant move, I try and hopefully figure out why it's brilliant. But I honestly couldn't tell you. Um, then I sort of like to look at my like, oh, did I get any great moves? Felt like I handled the king really well in this game. I knew I was gonna have to lose the rook, but that's fine. I think a big thing to remember too is I'm in general I'm such a low ELO that I sort of just pretty sure that we're all gonna blunder or make some kind of mistake that we can capitalize on. So I never get too worried. I mean, I get frustrated if I miss something obvious, but okay. So starting from the beginning, when I play as white, I almost always do the Nimzo Larson attack, starting with b3. I saw Magnus Carlsen do it once, and I just figured, oh well, if it's played by the top player, I should try and learn it. I have the book down pretty well for this. So normally, they say this is a book for, I think this is the classical. I don't know where you see. Oh yeah, classic variation. The modern variation is usually this guy first, then you attack, and it's usually defended by the knight, which is why you'll see this was a mistake. This is just a free pawn. There's nothing defending that pawn. So I take it. I know that's the best move. I've done this particular sequence a lot. I think this is just a develop. Yeah, let's see what we can just read this. This piece activates while simultaneously attacking the thing. Okay, so like generally speaking, or as soon as you can, you want to get your pieces from the back rank up and moving and being active so that they can look around the board. Um, and I think so. It's weird because this says this is actually a smaller modifier. So if we go here from 0.8, like if they had done weird that the best move is somehow less points, but I'm wondering if that's like if they do this. Okay, again that's not. I don't know if I would even be able to begin to understand that. Like my next move would probably be here. I imagine they'd block somehow. But go back there, see what they thought this move should be. Same thing. Oh, that's weird that they had you take. So my understanding is normally you capture towards the center. You don't but I mean the computer obviously knows way better than me, and I've seen professionals capture it outward, and obviously that's interesting. I don't know. Let's see if there's a difference. I don't see a difference. It might be like a tempo thing, but truly don't know. I'm trying to be quiet. My partner is going to sleep. So let's just go back to the game. Okay. I always retreat back, basically. Not only do I know that's the best move from like previous games, it just sort of also makes intuitive sense. Like you don't want to go here because the knight can just take. Going here, you lose sort of a tempo, so you have to go back anyway because you can't take. And you got no business being here because you can be taken, and then this pawn is, so it just sort of all makes sense. Okay, so it's looking like they wanted to further activate. Again, I think at this point early on, it's probably, it doesn't matter. Like, wonder if, I'm only going to do this one. Okay, so the computer doesn't even know what to do after. Oh, yeah, okay, so it's still too early for it to, like, really matter. Okay. So just to be clear, this is the game. This is the game. Oh. So then my understanding, like I said, from previous analyses and sort of now intuitively, I like to move this pawn so I can get this bishop over here, which pins the knight, so the knight can't move. That like frees up this space, frees up this space, and it frees up this space. So I move the pawn so that I can move the bishop. Okay. This is a very common threat that I see, because obviously then if I move the pawn in any regard, I lose the knight. So it's just sort of whether or not I want to allow that exchange. And then I almost instinctively go here. So it seems like the best move should have been knight f3. Activating it. So it liked this. And I guess 0.93, I mean, I'm sure at the top level, this is a significant difference, but let's see what the best set should have been. Okay, so eventually I would have gotten there anyway. Yeah, this is a thing that I'm sort of always worried about, especially when I do the Nimzo, which is why they have you move the pawn up here. This pins this pawn to the king, and then like if somehow this pawn was removed in some way, they could get the queen facing here, or they could get a knight here, and then I would have to figure something out. So that is something that I am aware of. Let me go back to. I guess the queen is a good move. You're supposed to develop stuff, but I don't know. Again, 0.93 versus 1. I wouldn't. That's too tight of a difference. They really want you to activate as many of your pieces as possible. So I guess pushing pawns is a little bit slow for the computer. It's like 10:30. This develops a knight. Yeah, okay. Okay, so this is where it starts to detract from actually good moves. Wonder what it. Yeah. I don't know if I definitely did not play that, but let's stop this. I don't know what the point of that is. Okay. That's fine. So I think with the queen, I think I just wanted to move the pawn. I don't actually think I had a particular thought with that. I vaguely remember this bothering me, but I was like, okay, so my thought was like, okay, so obviously the put me in check, and then he could just take my knight. So I'm like, okay, what can I do about that? And you'll see from the move thing. Let's see, we're on queen to b4 check. Queen d2 was a blunder right here. So we'll have to see what it actually wanted me to do, because I was interested in this review. Because I was pretty sure I was gonna lose the queen anyway, and I just wanted to tempt him with a queen trade because I could just take with here. But okay, so knight. Oh, I literally didn't even see that. Like this whole time, I'm like, oh, we'll find out. But even like 6 hours later, I still didn't see that. That literally, the knight becomes defended by the bishop and defends. Okay. Well, maybe hopefully I'll see that next time. Okay. Takes. Yep, makes sense. That's what I was worried about. Attack the queen. That seems like a pretty natural instinct. And now I actually did see something. I guess I didn't see. It wants me to. They're about equal. Still losing. I think. Yeah, let me open this up. So if the evaluation means white is ahead by 2 points, white might not actually be any pawns up at all. Likewise, if evaluation is -3, that means black is ahead. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, okay, this is probably a good idea to keep track of the. So let me just back up. Because it is important to sort of get a grasp of where the game starts slipping. So the Nimso Larson starts off actually pretty even. I do remember that. And obviously this is like essentially a mistake. But it's not a major one because you can see from we're tied at the bottom here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. 0-0. He makes that move and I go to 0.8. At my level, that's really not a difference. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure a grandmaster would be like, oh yeah, if you're 1 point off or whatever, I'm basically just winning. But for me, whatever. So 0.8. 1's fine. 1.1, so I'm pretty ahead. Whatever. So here, this is, like I said, this was a threat. This was a scary threat, but if I had done this, I'm sure I would have been fine, but I was not. Yeah, see, so doing this move loses me a total of 4 points, which is really bad. That's a completely losing position. And then this would have garnered me point. God damn it. But this would have garnered me points. So now I'm just sort of trying to claw back points, and you can even see here, like, this probably would have gotten me some more points, but not much more. And you don't see the evaluation bar when you're playing. But I had a general sense that I was losing here. And you can see here, I'm bottomed out, basically. So I just sort of tried to... I know the rule is if you're actually winning, if you're up in material, which he was and not me, fading down kind of makes sense. I mean, it's still like, what do you call it? Like, case-by-case basis. But I think that's what he was trying to do, is maybe trade down. Because if you're up, like say if you have an extra pawn or something, like the fewer pieces on the board, he was actually probably just targeting my queen, now that I think about it. And then he could probably go here, I don't know. But if you're up in pieces, trading down usually gives you the advantage. Because you probably are already good enough to have gotten a smaller advantage in the first place, but also you're probably in a better positional situation. But nevertheless, I decide to simplify because I'm actually pretty good towards the end of a game. This was like a massive blunder, I guess, according to the eval bar. So instead of, oh, okay, so I took this sort of just out of, I knew I wasn't really thinking about the queen. I mean, I kind of was, but but if I had done this, it would have actually threatened the queen. So even if I lost my queen, he would have lost his queen. So, okay, maybe next time. The problem is when you get tunnel vision, like I definitely did not see this move, like period. That's chess. This is just a mistake, and it's really interesting how big of a mistake that was, because I think I was down like 4 points, and suddenly that mistake got me up. But don't worry, I almost always fuck up as well. To be honest, completely thought that this was the perfect move. I was like, okay, I'll kick this pawn out, or this bishop out somewhere. If you can't go here, can't go here. I figured, and he can't go here. So I figured, like, he's got to go here, which just gets me more space on the board. but apparently not the case. Let's see. Blocks the attack on a vulnerable queen. Oops, you gave up a knight. Oh, okay. So the reason this is because this knight was going to go anyway, so I might as well sacrifice him. And then that was apparently a mistake as well. Okay. To be honest, that is definitely above me. I don't think I would have seen something like that. And again, like once I get the like, okay, let's simplify, it's too late. I'm not like, I think in my head, I already had the calculus of like, okay, we have even pieces. I have a dark square versus a light square bishop. Which again, too low of a level to really like understand the theory of, but I knew that I had a bishop, he had a bishop, and we both had knights, so I was like, okay, at least we're even in points now. And actually I was up a pawn. So that was sort of like tunnel visioned the thought process. I didn't realize that he could take this and then he's gonna win the rook. I didn't realize, but that's okay. And then I said, I thought to myself, like, okay, well, there's got to be if there's any time to castle, it's now. So that's what I did. I honestly wasn't even thinking about queen or knight or this. I was like, okay, rook's lost. I should castle before I get cut off in some way. You can't castle out of check. So, like, fuck it. Basically, I don't think I had much thoughts going on right like here. Okay, yeah, I probably definitely should have just taken. I actually don't think I even saw this. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to attack the queen. I don't understand how this is brilliant. We went over this a little earlier. Like, I just don't get. I don't know what is good about this move. I don't. Because I think, yeah, I literally just took the queen. Sorry, I just spaced out for a second. Yeah, so I literally don't understand how this is a brilliant move. I mean, it's a queen sacrifice, but I don't know what it's sacrifice. I don't know what the purpose of the sacrifice is. So obviously, then this shoots up my points immediately. I have my queen for 2 rooks, and then I have a bishop. Like, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm fucking solid. But apparently that was a mistake because I could have forked and taken a rook. And then I probably would have been able to, right? So like if I had done, so obviously I lost the rook. I was fine with that. I didn't care. Instead of immediately taking, I should have forked, taken the rook, and then taken the knight. And then I would be up even more, but that's okay. I like how at this low level you just bounce back and forth between like extreme. This I guess this just protects the knight, right? Like ideally you just don't want to lose it right away. I had no like thoughts about that. I assume going here forks the rook and the bishop. Not something I saw now, but I see now. I see, but that's not something I saw then. Okay. This I don't know why, so I'm actually kind of interested. Okay, again, who's to fucking say? I mean, these are the same evaluations. Fuck me. So. Okay, so they're doubling up. The idea here for him, hopefully, obviously, is going here. Even though it's defended, I don't, at this low level, it's kind of hard to tell if someone's doing something on purpose or just like me. I think it's the right thing. Because if he goes here, I take, and then he could take, but then I take, and he could be a queen for a bishop. So I wasn't worried. Here, I knew this was a good move because I wanted to not necessarily attack this pawn, but break up the chain here. So if he took, obviously I could just take with the pawn. bad at drawing arrows. I just sort of wanted to get my queen involved. I didn't really know how or where or when or why, but I knew that I should. Obviously then I saw this free pawn over here, so I just oh, I did not do that. That was gonna be my in case you can see here. I did eventually see it. And then I just basically checked until I felt comfortable. I knew there was something to check. But at low levels, if you just keep making a threat, someone's gonna fuck up. As you can see, we're on move 38 of 40, so spoiler alert, he fucks up. Basically, I just was like, I'm gonna keep checking until he fucks up. And then we got to the point where I was like, okay, obviously can't go here or here, so he has to go here or here. And I did not want to move here, so I just did, I'm like, okay, time to do a quiet waiting move, as the pros say. I guess I could have just moved slightly adjacent. I assume because if you take, I could just take and it'd be something, but he fucked up. And I was able to go here because this pawn defended this square. So this is checkmate, you can see, were it not for this pawn. But he moved the pawn. And I got a checkmate. We played at apparently the same rating, which is very funny to me. Obviously not my best game. I've usually pretty good in the opening. One thing that I really like about the, if you go to details, does it show up enough on this side? Yeah. I like when I see this. Obviously I was white. I had a 97% accuracy with my bishops, 93% accuracy with my king, and then everything else is dog shit. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, there's a lot to get better at. But unfortunately, with a game like this, I mean, this review helps. So, like, go back. One of the things this teaches me is not to be too, not to worry too much. Like, okay, what is he really threatening, right? Because even if he takes this, I can still take, right? So I need to sort of like blink. And I definitely do better when I look away from a position and look back at it, like treating it like a puzzle versus an in-game. So, because this would have just won me a rook. Jeez. And like, let's say I did this, he'd have. Say I did this. Jeez. He'd have to move his king anywhere, and then I take the rook, and then ostensibly he would want to take back, and then I could just take the knight. And I would have a, material would be the same, but it's probably a better position. So stuff like that is sort of important to read through. And then that's it. I think I just waited too long to make this video, but I plan on trying to get better, and in order to do that, I actually need to analyze games that I lose, but this was just sort of an easy one. I knew that there were some mistakes and stuff, and some pretty bad ones, but I sort of the entire time had a group. I can't say coherent because there were changes to the plan and stuff, but I generally had an idea of like, okay, well, in this position, I should do something like this. Obviously, sometimes I was wrong, but this was a relatively straightforward game to think about. Okay, maybe next time I'll project and be a little louder. That do be it.